How's it going? This is Matt Coplon. This is episode 7 of Profile Spoken Word. We are starting in Tampa Bay. We're going to tie this episode into Profile's reproduction of the Tarpon Tee, which we did a couple years ago. I want to give you a little history behind why we decided to do that on a t-shirt. We're starting here in Tampa, but we're actually taking a 5-hour road trip south to the Keys. So we're actually going to go over the history of tarpons in Florida there and tie that into Profile. So come along. This is spoken word number 7. We are in Isla Mirada in the Upper Keys. We're going to be pedaling from here back and forth to Key Largo to eventually hit the Key Largo Skatepark. I want to thank Lucas Porzio for coming along and Dan, of course, for filming and riding. The reason for this trip, is because I absolutely love the Keys. I come down here every year and it's a really special place for me, but also it's a very iconic location too to celebrate the tarpon, which we will talk about as we pedal to and through Isla Mirada into a feeding location of the tarpon. So stoked to have you along. Let's get this ride started. This is the first stop of the pedal. We are in Isla Mirada and I got a lead on a spot across the street here that supposedly has a giant school of tarpon, which is the Megalops. Hopefully we'll see some and I can continue to tell the story of how this fish ties into Profile in the state of Florida. So crazy. Oh, it's a Goliath grouper.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. Oh my God, dude.
Yes.
That is amazing. Really cool. Wow. So this is our first pedal stop in Isla Mirada, and not only did we find a gold mine of tarpon, but we also got to see a 350-pound Goliath grouper right off the dock. So tarpon migrate on the west coast of Florida from March to June. They end up in the Gulf, and then from July through August, they migrate on the other side of this road actually, which is the Atlantic Ocean. We're technically in the middle of the Gulf, so the school we just saw is perfect for the migratory patterns at this time of year because we're in April, so that's why we just saw about 300 tarpon. Another amazing thing about tarpon is that they spawn offshore. That's why we get to see them off docks, because they're usually up close to the shore, hence us seeing, again, a huge school right off the dock. Females get up to 300 pounds and can live to 50 years old, and males a little smaller, at about 6 foot long at their largest, and they can live up to 30 years. So again, both sizes of giant, massive fish. The tarpon don't have teeth. They have a very bony mouth, so hopefully as we get to the end of this trip and we get to feed them, you'll get to see them in action and how they do their feeding. So behind me is the Atlantic. This is where tarpon migrate to in late summer, so in a couple months, this is where they'll be predominantly. Tarpon fishing started on the west coast of Florida up near St. Pete, which is where Profile is. So our connection to tarpon is that the ocean is 2 miles from us, and we're proud of the fish that came out of it. They are catch and release now, so they are protected. That's why the schools here are so prolific, and they're an apex predator, so we need to protect them to protect the ecosystem here. The last little anecdote about tarpon is that they're called the Silver King for a reason, and that was when they were first caught on basic rod and reels when folks would catch them, the rod and reel would actually bend to the tarpon. So they were given the name the Silver Kings, if you were bending to the king to pull it out of the water. So the last spot we're gonna take you to, I've gone here for the past couple years. It's a really amazing spot, and we'll get nice and close up with some tarpons. So let's finish the ride at this last spot. Come along. So we just got to the Key Largo Park and roll up, and here's a Gumbo Limbo tree at the entrance, and it's got a little plaque on it, which is really awesome. So the Gumbo Limbos start right south of Tampa and they go all the way down through the Keys into Key West, and it's called the sunburn tree because the bark actually looks like sunburnt skin and it just peels right off. So a really amazing part of the flora in South Florida. Just got to the Key Largo Skatepark. I've been coming down here for decades. This is one of my favorite places. Actually, my favorite place to visit are the Florida Keys. Never been in the skate park before. Really excited to ride it with Dan and Lucas. So thanks for coming along and letting us tie in the tarpon into Florida history and into the history of the Profile t-shirt that we're getting ready to reprint as well. So this is Spoken Word. My name is Matt Coplon and I appreciate you coming along. We'll see you next time.